the Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Stephen Sakach here with my co-host Tullio, Siragusa, and we've got a special guest who we'll introduce in a moment. So pet care is one of the most emotional and relationship-driven industries in business. And for many people, a dog is not simply a pet, it is family. So when it comes to a customer walking into a grooming business, they're not only looking for convenience or what's on the service menu. They're looking for trust, safety, and care. And so today we are exploring building community and connection in the modern pet care industry. Tullio, introduce our guest today.
My pleasure. Our guest today is Michelle Sandonato. She's the co-founder and president of Bowie Barker Bath and Groomery. Bowie Barker is a modern dog grooming brand offering personalized services for every pup, including full-service grooming, self-service wash stations, health checks, sustainable products, all-natural treats and toys, and a convenient app-based experience. Founded in Los Angeles, California, Bowie Barker opened its flagship store in West Hollywood in 2022 and was created to update the traditional dog grooming experience through thoughtful design, technology, membership-based care, and high-quality services dog owners can trust. Michelle brings deep experience in strategy, guest experience, and franchising, including previous leadership work with the Now Massage and Sky Zone. Michelle, welcome to the Bliss Business Podcast. We love talking to pet franchises. We love pets.
Same, by the way.
Michelle, so your business is born out of the need for high quality care that dog owners can trust. And what did you see the traditional grooming experience that needed to be reimagined?
Yeah. That's truly where this whole concept came from. I think all great brands see a hole or see a problem and provide a solution. For us, it was, it was around COVID time, and I used to take my dog to a local chain here, and it was a fine experience. It was 6 weeks to get in, if you remember, during that time period, though, because everyone was getting dogs, and it just was very transactional. And I never felt great. And my dog would literally put on the brakes. He was a Cocker Spaniel. That's what I had at the time. And I would have to carry him in. And so as a pet parent, you go, well, what's happening back there, right? Again, I didn't think anything bad was, but I also didn't think that they were really connecting with my pup in a way that made him want to come back. And so that was really kind of the basis. And a lot of people, all my partners and I had that same experiences with our pups. And that was really what we kind of said, is there a way to create a more stress-free environment, not only for the pet parent, but also for the pet itself? Now, you're never going to take the stress completely out of grooming for the dog, but can we make it a little bit better and make it a place that dogs want to come into? And that's really where Bowie Barker came from. Was we did a lot of guest surveys and found out that really it was the stress that was preventing people from even taking their dog to get groomed. The stress that they felt, their dog felt. And so we designed kind of a premium space and a lot of little touch points along the way, including using just some modern technologies to make the pet parents less stressed and also the pup less stressed.
Now, pet care, let's admit, it's deeply emotional because dogs are family.
Yeah.
And so how does empathy shape the way Bowie Barker thinks about grooming, wellness, and the customer experience? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, great question. So on the empathy side, we hire dog lovers first and foremost. Every person we hire has to be a dog lover. And though that sounds obvious, of course, you're hiring dog lovers. That's not always the case in this industry. But we figure we can train skill. But we bring every single person in, from the front desk to the bathers and the groomers. And this also goes, of course, with our franchise partners. But we watch how they interact with dogs. We make them go through a bathing practical, a grooming practical, because if they are dog lovers first and they love the dog and the parent sees that love, the parent's going to trust us, the dog's going to trust us, and the experience is going to be much better. And so that's really where that empathy comes in, is making sure that these are true dog. They don't have to have a dog, but they have to love dogs, and be able to understand what that parent might be going through and what that dog might be going through as well.
So how do you design a kind of an experience that feels premium, but still warm and approachable?
Yeah. Great thing is I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. I think the premium experience comes from, we invested in a lot of technology, very modern technology, to make sure that the parent experience was seamless, from booking on an app to getting updates and picture updates throughout the experience, providing that transparency. Also, the design of the space itself was made to feel very premium. Number one thing people say when they walk in is, it doesn't smell like dog in here. And so that was because we tried to make a really easy to clean space, as well as, brought in some scents that are calming, but also make the place smell nice. So I think that kind of brings in the premium side. And then the experience comes from, again, that team that we have in store. And they also feel better about where they work, because they work in this very clean environment. They work in this space that, as people coming in, they're not stressed about making an appointment, or 6 weeks out that they had to make their appointment. So I think you can provide the premium experience and shape that through the design, through the systems, through the technology, and then hire the dog lovers that are going to create that warm, friendly, and welcoming environment.
I never thought about that smell thing, but wet dog smell. No one's going to make a candle out of, for wet dog smell. I don't think
No, it's not everyone's favorite scent. So our scent's a little bit different, but actually the name, it's a customary scent, and it's we actually named the candle the smell of my clean dog.
My clean dog, yeah.
Now a diffuser with wet dog scent, that would really sound. So your model is membership based, so I am assuming that usually means exclusive, but also very personalized. Why is personalization so important in dog grooming?
You guys mentioned that you had dogs, right? And have you always had perfect haircuts for your dogs?
No.
I wish I could say yes.
Last time my dog came back from the groomer, which was a week or so ago, my daughter called him Triangle Head, and so it was not a good experience. So we moved into a new location, and so we're trying out different groomers. So we will be, experiencing a range, I think, here, but until we dial it.
And Triangle Head's a beautiful name for your dog. But exactly that. It's every dog is different. You could have 2 golden retrievers that require 2 different levels of care, and one's going to take an hour, one's going to take 3 hours. 2 doodles get 2 very different cuts. And so I think that's why personalization is so important in this, is that you have to meet each dog's needs. And we've really brought in technology that helps us determine how long this dog's going to take, how long this dog's going to take, and ensure that we have time on the schedule to handle both dogs, because an 18-year-old dog is going to need a lot more time. And we're not trying to be a vending machine where we get them in and out in 30 minutes just because they're 50 pounds, whatever it might be. So the personalization really is because every single dog has a different need. And so that's what we've brought in technology, but of course also the human element to ensure that we create that personalized experience. And then it happens every time, because that membership model ensures that we get those visits every month.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
How does grooming, you talk about wellness as part of your offering. How does grooming become part of a dog's overall wellness routine?
Yeah. Just similar to how it is with humans. But I do think, especially in this world of, a lot of doodles out there too, dogs' fur gets dirty and it gets matted, especially when it has hair and not that, fur that a lot of people are used to. And so it is better for dogs to come in and, at least monthly. Some dogs come in even every 2 weeks to not only get their skin cleaned, get any kind of dirt that might have accumulated on their skin that's creating itchiness or dryness, but also to just get brushed out and get those mats out, because mats become really bad for a dog. They're painful. They get stuck to the skin where you have to shave them off. And so that's where I think keeping the upkeep of a dog. But on the emotional side of that too, people are physically closer with their dogs when their dogs are clean, right? The first thing I see when a dog comes out of the space, we have this, what's called the runway, designed into all of our shops, where the dog runs out to the parent picks up the dog, and they put their face in the dog and smell them. And so a clean dog is also going to be on your couch. It's going to be in your bed. You're going to be much more likely to have that dog right next to you when they're clean. So I think there's also an emotional bond that it helps create.
Nice. Yeah, the knotting's a problem. We went too long once, and our Maltipoo was all knotted, and she had to get shaved. And then instead of calling her Roxy, I called her Ratsy because she was
We hate doing it.
lovingly called her Ratsy, but it was
so
just like,
shocking. One time, and she was probably embarrassed too.
those hairless cats, except she was a dog.
You know what? I would feel so bad if I came home from, getting my haircut and I was called, Ratsy or Triangle Head.
But also, all the names we call our dogs are probably embarrassing.
But we say it with such cuteness. But yeah, if they understood the words, they only understand tone. But if they understood the words,
yeah, we still say it with lots of love.
Referring to us,
Ratsy.
Yeah, you're when your dog has a great haircut, like there's a pride that comes with it too.
Yeah.
Not saying you left your dog any less when it was shaved, but there's a pride that comes with a great haircut and a great blowout too.
Yeah, for sure. And the pictures always get shared either way. Because it's just, they're cute regardless. Yeah. So, Michelle, what does like emotional safety look like in a pet care environment? I mean, like you said, when you brought your dog in, and it was like tensing up, and I think we've all had that kind of experience. It's usually like the vet or something when the dog, you turn around, pull into the parking lot or something, right? And suddenly it's like knows where it's at. And what does this look like to kind of curate that?
Great question. And I think, again, we're always designing for two audiences. You have the pet parent and the pet. But if you can create this great experience for the pet, the parent's emotional safety and anxiety is also eased, and their stress is also eased. So we've really leaned into this whole stress-free grooming concept. The way we train it too is you're welcoming the dog and their parent into your home. And so what are the things that you would do to make someone feel welcome in your home? And that's what we've designed into the experience. So for example, we give every dog treats. We know exactly what their allergies are. So that's like noted in there, but every single dog is offered a treat when they come in, because that creates an immediate bond between the person, the front desk or the groomer, and the dog. And the pet parents, again, love that too, because they see their dogs happy. Even if the dog doesn't take it, they'll take it home to give it to them later. So that's like the first thing that we do that just creates that immediate bond. The team is also trained, of course, to get down to the dog's level. Again, doesn't create any kind of hierarchy, because that's what dogs know, right? It's all about that wolf pack. And then we have, a series of things like what we call the Bowie warm up, which is we bring every single groomer or bather comes out to meet the dog before they go back. Doesn't matter if the dog's been there 100 times. The person who is performing the service always goes out and greets the dog. And we do that because we want to, make sure that there's no changes in their health history or anything we need to know about, but also with the pet parent there, we want the dog to get comfortable with that bather or groomer. And we want the parent to see that that dog is comfortable with our team member as well, before we bring them back. So we really just try to kind of work with the dog. Now, again, does every dog still want to come back with us? No, of course not. Some of them just hate water. But if we can show them parent that we love their dog just like they love their dog, and that's really what they're looking for, they're going to feel more comfortable leaving their pup with us, not knowing what, of course, happens in the back.
I like so you are describing like these sort of systems that you've built, that really, this podcast, we talk about building love into scalable systems. And it's like, how can you systemize these, sort of caring moments? And especially you've got in these franchise models, it's easier to do in one location, but keeping that, spreading that throughout your franchises and making sure it's systemized. What do you think are the most important things when scaling a service-based brand without losing, kind of that personal connection that guests expect? What are the most important things that people could learn from how you're trying to do this?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think having good systems and really solid systems actually allow for more personalization in store, because for example, everyone is afraid of AI and AI answering the phones, and we've actually just implemented virtual agents to answer our phones. The reason we did that is because I hated when I would walk in and the front desk was on the phone and they couldn't be with the dog. And so that's where, I think the systems help us be more present with the dog. And it also helps the franchise owners in those locations know what to do, and they also can be more present with the dog because the systems are already set and they know what the processes are. The most important ones, my background is in training. That's for other franchise systems. That's what I've always developed as training programs. So I do think that, training and making sure that every team member knows exactly what they need to do, what they're supposed to be doing, what their job is, and, reinforcing that at every moment is probably some of the most important systems any franchise or any business can have in general. But again, I think the systems are what allows us to personalize and customize our experience.
I love that use of AI to answer the phone. I mean, that is definitely a very kind of empathetic use of AI in this situation, because like you said, you don't want to walk in and someone's on the phone and the dogs are, not getting that one-on-one.
That is a great use case of how to use AI to enhance the human connection, because you're basically allowing them to provide better service because of it. That's super intentional. I love that. And for companies watching, that is actually the best way to make use of AI, not to cut heads and make everything feel clinical. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the service you provide. Bowie Barker provides both full service grooming but also the self-serve wash station. Tell us about that, and does that help create maybe more of a community, more connection with the pet parents? Walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the origin of it. First of all, is when we went out before we, built this brand and we did a customer validation survey. A lot of the insights that came back of why people weren't getting their dogs groomed is they were embarrassed about how their dog behaved, or they were just stressed about how their dog was going to behave, in a public setting. And they saw that as a reflection of themselves, which was a really interesting insight. And so that's kind of where the DIY came, because we said, well, if you're embarrassed about how they'll behave with us, but you still need a place to go and get your dog cleaned, as a good entry point, let's bring in the DIYs. Maybe it is a acquisition strategy where they'll get comfortable grooming their dogs themselves and bathing them dogs themselves. And then slowly we can get them into where we're washing them. Or maybe they'll just use the do-it-yourself tubs for life. And that's great too. I always use the example of I have a dog now who is feral. Love him to death. He's absolutely feral. And if I didn't, have these grooming places that we own, I would only use DIY with him, because there's no way I would ever let someone else deal with my feral dog. And he is sweet and lovely, but he would jump out of the tub and run away. So it's a great option for people who have that experience or have a dog that they're not so sure about. A lot of our dogs, are rescues and have a lot of traumatic backstories, and they're not comfortable with other people. And so that was really just about creating a space. On the community element, why I also love it is you will see whole families bathing their dogs. They'll bring their kids in, and it becomes a bonding experience. Part of our mission is just enabling the bond between dog and human. And so it's so cool to see these kids getting involved in, to something that is really good for their dogs too, and giving their dogs treat and helping them along. And we're also teaching them how to take care of their dogs as part of the process.
I love that. And I mean, it's a good way, even like you said, if you've got a dog. So mine was a rescue. We always say he was roaming the mean streets of Carson.
He's familiar with the mean streets of Carson.
His little 8-pounder. Who knows what happened to him out there? But he's just a little cute guy. But so he, when we first brought him home and everything, that he certainly went through some things. He'd hide our shoes so we wouldn't leave the house, things like that. But when you're taking, a dog with some sort of background like that, and you're handing him over to a groomer or something like that, they, especially after he really needed to be groomed too when we first got him from the rescue. But that kind of thing would have really helped, I think, because we could have been there, a little bit instead of, taken off into the back room. And he's like wondering, hey, are they ever coming back again? Or, whatever goes through his mind there. But I love being able to have that kind of middle ground where he could get comfortable, and we can too. But
you also just glossed over that he would hide your shoes before, so you guys wouldn't leave. Smart little dog,
right? Yeah. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, he was very smart. And we're like, what happened to our shoes? Where are they going? Yeah. And we figured out he'd take them to another room and hide them. just because, that was like the first sign that something that we're going to leave.
Smart.
But
They put these things on before they leave. If I remove these, they can't leave. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that the family washing the dog. I think that's a great way to help young ones, your kids, learn how to care for the dog too. Like when I heard that, I was like, when are you guys opening in North Dallas? Because doing it at home sometimes it's just stressful. You don't have a big tub. It's like, but I would totally go to a place and like bring the kids and like, okay, let's learn how to wash the dog together. Yeah, I think that's a great thing. Do people use that a lot? Does the community take advantage of that a lot? Or is like what percentage of your customers use that feature? Or is that something you're still tracking?
No, you're good. I would say, it's about, so of our membership, and I'm going to just speak to our West Hollywood location, we have about 1,000 members and about 200 are just do-it-yourself members. And those, 20%. Yeah, it's quite a bit. Now, West Hollywood's also across the street from a dog park, so it's probably the highest utilization, but on the weekends they are fully booked, especially people taking their dogs hiking or to the beach and then coming in afterwards. All members get access to the do-it-yourself tub too, so a lot of people will just bring them in before. But yeah, they're utilized, and we were wondering how they would do as we here. It's a lot of multi unit living, so you have these tiny stall showers, so it's hard to wash your dog. But we go out to the suburbs of Scottsdale, and it's very popular as well. A lot of people have big dogs, and to your point, Tullio, that they don't want to make the mess in their own tub, so we'll clean the mess for you. It makes it really easy, and again, it creates a fun little bonding experience. So they are definitely utilized.
All right, we've got a couple audience questions. Let's see what they've got for us today. So it's from LinkedIn user. What challenges do you see ahead for the pet care industry, and how can businesses prepare for them?
It's a great question. Well, the beautiful thing about the pet care industry is it's really a growing industry. So I don't see a lot of headwinds. We always say it's also kind of a recession proof. It's a COVID proof industry. And the premiumization of pet care keeps kind of upping the bar here. I could see, as challenges, I think in any skilled labor model, you're going to always have to find the best people. And so and dog groomers, a lot of them are, trained through the big box retailers, but there's not a lot of standard schools that are teaching people how to groom dogs. And so I do think, though, as, more and more people are getting their dogs groomed on a regular basis, which I think people are, especially, again, with a lot of the doodles out there, making sure that we have enough groomers that are trained and also understand the safety aspect of grooming a dog and how to take care of dogs and make sure there's no injuries will always be challenging. And making sure that you take care of your people too.
All right. I think we got another question here.
2 more.
Oh, okay. So how do you stay connected to customer feedback as the company continues to grow?
I love customer feedback, so I'm probably too connected to it. So I read every single review. After every visit, we ask for feedback on it, and I just think that that's such an important aspect, especially as we grow. I become further and further away from just being in the store and talking to customers as well. So I do think constantly being able to read the customer feedback and then make changes based on it. Is important for any brands, even if it's the smallest changes. Recently people said, our do-it-yourself, they didn't love the towels, something so small. And so we got bigger towels, so I think just the smallest little changes sometimes can make big differences, because how many people maybe stopped coming to us because we had towels that were too small. So I do think any leader needs to be constantly reading that customer feedback and taking action on it, or learning what can maybe be put over here and see if it becomes something that becomes more of a trend.
All right. Let's see. So
I think we have just one more. It's more like a statement or a request.
Okay.
Someone wants to learn more about the AI system. Can you share that with us, or is that a secret conversation we need to have?
Probably I can give you little previews, but we are working with a provider. I'm not going to share who it is right now that has built, the agentic AI, and we're still it's a baby. She's coming into her toddler years now, so we're still learning a lot about how to answer questions, be more human. And then we've
That's
got
one of
some
our
more
own, so we'll
stuff.
have to connect afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And we have some other cool stuff that we're working on that, again, I think increases the personalization of the experience and doesn't take away, again, from that human connection.
A lot of what you talked about is very intentional, very purposeful. Even the agentic AI and that experimentation, giving more access, the families, the self-service, all these things, very purpose, very community driven. Bowie Barker, you're expanding through franchising. So you've got this vision to bring this modern dog grooming concept to more neighborhoods across the country. I hope you bring one to the North Dallas neighborhood soon. The company has described franchising as your path to welcoming owners to the growing pet grooming industry. And it is a growing industry. Mm-hmm. How do you think franchising can help build stronger local pet care communities?
Well, I think that's why you franchise, especially any service-based business, is because I can't imagine opening corporate stores in Dallas and not being the owner that lives there in the community. So I think that's part of the reason you franchise, is to create the bonds and have the owner who lives in a community. And, some examples of how that's done today is we work a lot with rescues. I think, Stephen, you said that your pup is a rescue. Mm-hmm. It's really important to us. It's part of our mission. And so we give our owners the tools to go out and make partnerships with rescues before they even open, and then create those relationships. So that way, of course, we're filling, the funnel from the top down. We're bringing in dogs who have been recently rescued, but we're also providing glow ups and doing a lot of good in the community and getting these dogs ready for adoption. And that couldn't be done if we didn't have owners that were in the community out talking to these rescues. They wouldn't also a lot of times, I'm not sure they get the same respect if it was me in LA calling and saying, hey, Arizona Foothills Rescued, we'd love to do some partnerships with you. I think that sounds very corporate versus one of them going in and saying, I'd love to show you our space and how we can help you guys get more dogs adopted.
Yeah, I love that local ownership. I mean, that's how you make brands feel connected to people's lives, right? Not as just positioned, as another kind of pet service. Thinking a little bit about that, how can pet brands avoid becoming like purely transactional? I mean, a lot of businesses in general, this is all they're focused on, is just being purely transactional. That's kind of half the battle we're fighting here on this podcast. But I think especially in the pet care industry, you really have to be, have a strong awareness of not being purely transactional, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes back to treating every dog as an individual. You can't, look, it would be a lot more efficient for operations if we said your dog is 8 pounds, it's going to take 30 minutes on the table no matter what. And I think some places do that. And again, I understand why, because it helps create a much more efficient schedule. But I think understanding the dogs and their individual needs, and you mentioned your dog is 18 years old, that's a dog that's going to take longer on the schedule. And so customizing a plan for that dog and their cup, it might take 2 visits because they're older, and that's okay with us. We kind of believe that, if we provide a custom experience to every dog, and yes, that means some dogs we might not make money on, and that's okay. We think that's going to come back because people are going to go out and tell their friends, and it'll bring in more business for us, and it all will even out.
Thinking about that local franchise owner, you've got to give them at some point a little bit of freedom to be in the local area, right? And this is always kind of the challenge, I think, with franchises, is you've got a system to follow, but you also want to have some freedom. How do you strike that balance?
And this is where I think we've come up with some systems and policies to help that. So a good example is we do have a selection of retail in our stores. And our rule of thumb is 80% of the retail is stuff that we say here, we want everyone selling these toys. They do well. So buy these from this manufacturer. 20%, we want them to go find local manufacturers. So local dog bakers, and bring in bakery goods. Local people who make dog toys, bring in those. So that's a small example, and then highlight who those are. That's just a small example, but it gives you an idea of we've kind of created policies that say, here's what you have to do. That's our way. Another good example is we manage the Instagram, and that's because we want a big presence on Instagram, and we want one big following and one voice on Instagram. However, Facebook, we want you to have local community pages. And so we set that up for everybody. We teach them how to use it. We give them ideas on what they can share, but we really want Facebook to be where they create a little bit more community and provide local content. So I think it's a balance of, here's how we make sure that we all feel the same, whether you come into a location here or in Scottsdale, with how do you also go into that Scottsdale location and feel like it's not too corporate and it's not too LA.
Yeah, I like that idea of the kind of that percentage. I was just thinking about that the other day, thinking about a franchise. It's like, oh, they should do like 70% local, is this kind of breakdown like that, where you do get sort of that freedom, I think, within, but you're kind of prompted in a way from the overall, corporate structure to kind of fill that freedom in a way.
One of my I love partners always says freedom within a framework is kind of what franchising is. And I love that. So it's always kind of guided our thinking around how we build systems, but still give some freedom within it.
You mentioned, so the local franchise owner, they've got that freedom on a little bit on Facebook to, kind of have their local Facebook presence. So what kind of role do they have in, how do you keep them protecting the culture of the brand in that kind of environment?
That's where I think who we select is so important. We've again been really, because we've been franchises before, been really selective about who we are growing with. And especially we're early stage still. We have 8 open. We'll have 10 by end of year. But these are the owners and the partners, is how we really see them, who are going to help us shape this brand. And so I think the early selection's more important than ever, because we need people who are going to come to us with ideas and help us, improve the systems that we have without going completely outside the lines. And so I think that's really in how you select a partner in this growth journey. And then who we select, of course, then goes down to who they select. And so far, our owners are wonderful and their managers have been really wonderful as well. And I think that's because we've been pretty selective about who we're bringing on.
So I ask this question to most everyone who comes on the show, is what role should love play in business? And I know in the pet care business, that's an easy one to hit, but you got to think also, you got people, you've got systems, you've got all these franchises, and there's a lot to that. So what role do you think love should play while you're in business as you're expanding your franchise?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think there's, love should play a part in any business. And that just comes to really loving what you do and being passionate about what you do, because it's such a large part of your life. This one especially, this is for people and franchise owners who are looking for, of course, freedom and business ownership, but it's also a passion play. And so I think that's where a love for dogs is so important. Just like I said, that we hire dog lovers first. Our franchise owners, and they've all come to us, they're dog lovers too. And you have to be in this business. And so part of this is they get to go, not only am I starting a business, I'm starting a business with, an industry that I really care about, I really love. And you get to walk in every day and just see a bunch of dogs. And so it's just a really happy, passionate, and loving business. And I'm excited to kind of see it grow through that love and passion for dogs, and how we kind of bring that to possibly other services in the future or other partnerships we make.
We've covered a lot today, and there's a lot of great insights that you've shared. So for founders or even franchise leaders who want to build a community center brand, you've sort of cracked the code on doing that so well. What's a good practical mindset shift that they should embrace?
I do think a lot of franchise owners, or people, even when they think of the word franchise, they do think like, I can own a bench, I can make a lot of money, and barely run them. And so I do think that owners, the mindset is, all these brands are community driven. I think any service-based brands, our other brand is the Now Massage. It's incredibly community driven, because all these brands also require a lot of trust from your customer, whether it's massage or dog grooming. And so I do think that being active in your community, and that can show up in a lot of different ways for our owners. It typically, especially before they open, it shows up in pop-ups, as well as, again, those partnerships with different like-minded brands. But you do have to be active in your community, and you have to be present in your store and meeting your customers. You'll never know who you'll meet. It doesn't mean that we're requiring that you have to go run the store and you have to ring up every dog in every transaction. That's not, we understand everyone has jobs and everything, but being active in the community is really the most important thing, I think, when it comes to being a really successful franchise owner.
Some franchise owners look at their franchise like a portfolio, stock portfolio.
Yeah.
And some do well with that if they hire the right people. But what I'm hearing is go into it because it's something you love doing that you want to contribute to the community, not just a portfolio you're going to own and make money from. Is that what I heard?
In this business, and I think most service-based businesses, and I realize there's, there's McDonald's and other brands where it's a little bit different, and you can probably own a lot and have a great structure. But for a business like this, you need to be present.
It's very personal kind of business, very
personal, exactly.
Thinking about kind of your higher purpose, and as Bowie Barker grows, what do you hope the brand makes kind of possible for dogs and pet parents and franchise owners and communities?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we love Bowie Barker in every community, and we love to make it easy. And it's really about the accessibility for people to bring their dogs in and believe and feel that they're going to have a good experience, whether that's using the do-it-yourself tubs or it's back of house. There's enough stress in everybody's lives. Like, we don't need, owning a dog is stressful, right? Between the vet bills and making sure they get enough activity and making sure their food is right and they're not having allergies or anything like that. And so we want to take the stress out of dog grooming for both the pet parent and the dog by, again, using kind of these modern technologies, but also these personalized touch points to make the dog and the parent feel comfortable. So having one in every community and making it really easy for people to come in and get their dog bathed.
Nice. So I selfishly want one in the Alan McKinney community. So if people want to learn about you, learn about this business, want to open a franchise, how can they connect with you?
We would love to be in the Texas community or in any of the Texas suburbs or anywhere, really. You can go to bowiebarker.com. There's a whole franchise section. You can fill out a form. We're also on LinkedIn. We're also on Instagram. So it's pretty easy to find us and connect with us.
Michelle, thank you for joining us today and sharing all your perspective on this. We love this industry and we love our furry companions, even if they do get teased for being triangle head every now and then, or
I need to see pictures of this now.
I don't know if you want to see pictures. Yeah, no, he's very cute, regardless. And he's got this sort of teeth that kind of come out sometimes. So, that can be accentuated or it's kind of his trademark. Yeah, with the wrong haircut.
One of my best friends' name, we nicknamed this dog Toofus because he had the little underbite teeth.
Some of those dogs are honestly like the cutest dogs, but like in the ugliest way.
Yeah.
We love them so much.
And he can touch both sides of that spectrum really well. He can be cute in that way or cute in the other way.
Exactly.
But no, thank you for joining us on the show. And to our listeners, there's a lot of great stuff we heard today, from even like the AI and how that can make you more, that's where really how we like to see AI being used is to help us be better humans, better at what we're doing in some way or another. And so that was just another perfect example of that, I think, too. But, and then that freedom of, being able to make that local connection. I think like Michelle mentioned, like working with the local rescues and things like that, just a great way to be a part of the community and be doing good in the community. And they're doing this on scale. They're bringing this out on scale in each of these communities. So it's really wonderful to hear. So Michelle, thank you. Thank you to our listeners. Great questions as always. And we'll see you next time on the Bliss Business Podcast.